Welcome back, and now to our first top story this morning. Zimbabwe, of late, has experienced a sharp increase in child labor due to economic hardships, with most school dropouts ending up as street vendors to supplement their families' incomes. Zimbabwe's Coalition on Debt and Development has said that approximately 20 children join the streets every day as beggars and vendors. ZIMCODD explains that some of these underlying dynamics include, not limited to, poor social protection policies, economic meltdown, maladministration, poor public resource management, infrastructural gaps, child marriages, school dropouts, and exploitative and exclusionary policies.
The recent examination fees raised by up to 3 times have attracted brickbats from worried parents and leave many questions about how many children will drop out this year alone. Now, joining us to speak more on this is Dr. Nyaradzayi, Gumbonzvanda. She's Executive Director of Rozaria Memorial Trust and African Union Goodwill Ambassador on Ending Child Marriage. Thank you very much, Doctor, for joining us. Let's go straight into it. Now, Zimbabwe is already experiencing a number of school dropouts due to not being able to afford school fees. What do these latest developments mean for school children?
It's actually a crisis when we have the numbers that we are reading, and we are looking forward to the outcome of the census that has just been concluded to tell us the true numbers. It's a crisis for the individual children who are unable to continue with education, and much more so for the girls who are at risk, and some of them are already experiencing child marriage. It's a crisis for the nation because we know when our children are not able to go to school, our future is compromised. So this is a very serious issue, and we are asking the authorities to really pay particular attention and to respond to the numbers that are coming to us.
What would you say needs to be done to ensure that the level of school dropouts is controlled?
I think there are a number of things. One is really make school accessible, affordable for families and for the learners. So it's about investing, putting resources to education. It's about addressing the increasing household poverty that we know has actually been made worse with the COVID situation, but it's also addressing the fundamental issues of our economy. And we see that as critical, just seeing some of the policy pronouncements that have been made recently.
Okay, now let's talk about plans from the standpoint of the government. Are there plans to petition the government on these new examination fees?
I feel that at this stage, from our work that we do with government, I work at the local level, is it's one thing to have policies in place which are pronounced. It's another thing to see the implementation of any of those policies. I really want to see a solid plan that reduces the levels of poverty at household level, that really increases the capacity of our learners, in especially the poor households, not only to go to school, but to remain in school. This includes a raft of policies, also including the conditions of teachers, that we need our teachers to be well remunerated. We need our classrooms to have the learning materials. And so it's a range of issues. I really think that it's an issue that needs also to be addressed in a way that the response to issues like COVID takes into account the prioritization of resources to education. But also some of the interventions are not in the education sector. They are also in the economic sector and the financial sector. And therefore, we need to look at the economic policies that we have, that they are actually laying the ground for us to revive the economy and for the social sector to be invested in.
Yeah, there's so many of the effects of poor economy in the last few years across Africa and maybe in many parts of the world. Governments have a lot of responsibility, but I want you to speak a little bit more. You're a child rights activist. I want you to speak a little bit more on the dangers these kids face by dropping out of school and becoming vendors, on the streets of Zimbabwe?
Every day we see our children being exposed to drugs, living in the streets. It's a national crisis, and even the government has started a strong campaign, and NGOs and others, to say we must prevent and we must respond to the crisis of children. Going to live in the street in itself is a crisis, but also the exposure to drugs in the streets is also a crisis in itself. I work with children who experience child sexual exploitation and what we call marriage. It's not even a marriage, it's rape. So we see child sexual exploitation increasing, child sexual abuse. The numbers that are being reported around child marriage are astounding. The opening up of schools recently, much more so, is telling us the numbers. At one of my local schools, over 50 kids were not available for reporting the first week. And we started to trace where they are. They're either drifted to the city, they're either working in the farms, doing tobacco farming, or they're simply in marriage. So we have a crisis, and investing in education is critical. And I continue to come back to the issue being one of commitment. It's not just about the children themselves, it's also about their families and their communities.
Well, it's a lot of work that still needs to be done. But thank you so much for joining us this morning, and good seeing you. We wish you a very beautiful day ahead.
Thank you so much, and definitely we need a strong support from the media. Africa is rich, Africa is prosperous. Africa's resources must be prioritized for its children as we address the community issues on the front line. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nyaradzayi Gumbonzvanda, a child rights activist who's come to speak to us so passionately about the children in Zimbabwe. We look forward to seeing things look up for you and for the education system in Zimbabwe.